This is the video tutorial on how to make the Happy Days Dolls Pram Set. And this is how you make it. And this is what you'll need. Fabric for the outer, fabric for the lining, some wadding, some gathered lace, cam snaps and some fusible interfacing and a bow. Making the cover. Place your front cover fabric right sides up, and this should already have the fusible interfacing on the back. And then we've got to attach the gathered lace. I've clipped the gathered lace all the way around the outer. As you can see, the lace faces inwards on both sides and at the bottom. This is correct. I've used lots of clips, and now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew quite close to the edge all the way around to hold it into place. If you haven't got any gathered lace, you can gather straight lace yourself by running a tacking stitch all the way through and gathering it up yourself. Once you've tacked your lace all the way around, leave it facing inwards and then take your back piece and place it right sides together on top and line up the sides and all the edges and then clip into place. I've clipped the two pieces together, and now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and use 1/4 inch seam allowance. Start there and stop. And sew all the way down there, all around the curve, all up, back up to the top and stop, and then across there and stop, and I'm leaving a gap for turning. I've sewn all the way around, and I'm now going to turn it the right way through the gap I've left. I've turned it the right way and I've pressed it, and now I'm going to sew up the gap I've left at the bottom. I've turned in the raw edges and I'm going to hand stitch along there. Once you've sewn up the gap, fold the top over, add your bow and add a couple of stitches to keep it in place. Now we're going to make the pillow. Place your front pillow fabric right sides up, and it's the piece with the fusible interfacing on the back, and then as we did before, clip the lace all the way around facing inwards. Use lots of clips, and now I've done that, and I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and as we did before, tack this all into place. I've tacked the lace into place, and now I'm going to take the back piece and place it on top, right sides together, and line up all the edges and then clip into place. I've clipped all the way around, and now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and I'm going to start there and stop all around the curve and stop, and then along the bottom and stop, and I'm leaving a gap at the bottom for turning. I've sewn all the way around, and I'm going to turn it the right way through the gap I've left at the bottom. I've turned it the right way round and pressed it, and now I'm going to add the wadding through the gap I left at the bottom. I've added the wadding, and now all I've got to do now is sew up the gap at the bottom. Making the bag. Place the bag linings right sides together, line up the edges and clip into place. Remember to leave a gap at the bottom for turning. The widest part is the top of the bag. I've clipped it into place, and now I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and start there using 1/4 inch seam allowance So all the way down to the bottom and stop, across and stop, leave a gap for turning, start again there and stop, and then back up to the top and stop. I've sewn all the way around the lining and I've remembered to leave a gap at the bottom, and I'm going to put this to one side while we work on the outer of the bag. Place your outer fabrics of your bag right sides together, and again line up the sides and edges and clip into place. I've clipped into place, and now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Sew all the way down to the bottom and stop, all the way across the very bottom and stop, and back up to the top and stop. I've sewn all along there, along the bottom and back up to the top. I've clipped the corners, and now I'm going to turn it the right way out and press. Now we're making the 2 straps. Fold your strap fabric right sides together in half lengthways and place some clips along there and at the bottom. Then take it to your machine as I've done and sew along the bottom and up to the top, and then turn it the right way round. I've turned both handles the right way and pressed them, and now I've marked a point 4 centimetres from the corner of the top of the back of the bag, and I've marked a point there, and I'm going to place the handle facing downwards in the centre of that mark, and again 4 centimetres from that corner, make a mark and place your other handle again facing down, so the raw edges of your strap and the raw edges of your bag meet. And now I'm going to clip these into place. I'll clip the straps into place on the back of the fabric just to the one layer, and now I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to tack the strap just along there so that the strap and the back of the bag are attached together. I've tacked the handles just to the one layer of the back of the bag, as you can see. And now I'm going to put this inside the lining. I've put the outer inside the lining, and I've ensured that the handles are all pointing down, and I've clipped all the way around, and I've ensured that the side seams and the top edges all line up. And now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, join the bags together by sewing all the way around the top. I've sewn all the way around, joining the lining and the outer bag together, and now I'm going to turn it the right way through the gap I've left at the bottom. I've turned it the right way out, and now I'm going to sew up the gap at the bottom of the lining. I've sewn up the gap in the lining, and I've tucked it inside and pressed it. And now the last bit of sewing is to top stitch all the way around the top. You could use your fancy stitches for this part. I've added the cam snaps, and that's your little pram bag all finished.